I actually wasn't going to do a show today. To be frank, I haven't been feeling real good lately. Changed up the dosage on one of my medications. Not the actual medication, but the dosage. And while I tolerated the lower doses really well, the increased dose it's causing some problems. Nothing serious, nothing bad, but I just haven't been my lovable self for the last couple of days. And in fact, night before last, I couldn't sleep. I had a really bad dream and ended up getting up at 2:45 in the morning and just being up from that point on. So it was unlikely that I was going to do one today. And then the court system, the state of Texas, has issued their replies. Now, what happened? They filed their lawsuit. Everybody knows this. 17 states joined on, kind of. Really only 8, but 17 sort of. Most of them were unwilling to support the underlying data, the underlying accusations. The court then wants the 4 states to respond. They responded, and now Texas has to respond to those. Well, they submitted their response this morning before the court makes a decision as to whether they're going to hear this expedited case or not. And again, I think that there's a misunderstanding here. I do not like the idea of Joe Biden being the president. I abhor the idea of Kamala Harris being president. It's not what this is all about. But I do believe that we have to face reality. We do have to work with the realpolitik. We have to play with the deal we've been given. And we are losing focus on the future by trying to change the past, which can't be done. Again, I don't doubt that there was cheating. I can't prove it. Neither can you. And by the way, neither can the state of Texas. So there's some elements here that in my conversation the other day, Texas's Big Ol' If you haven't seen that show yet, where we talked about the underlying problem with the Texas lawsuit, which is that it's based entirely upon this statistical analysis that literally a 5th grader could figure out was wrong. But they still submitted it, which makes me wonder, how do I get a job as a statistician? Because clearly you don't have to actually be right about anything. It's probably a better job than being a weatherman. Let me put it to you this way. The claim in the Texas lawsuit is that this statistician has figured out that it's statistically impossible for Biden to have won these 4 states. 1 in 1 quadrillion is what he said, remembering that that's 1 in 10 to the 60th power, whereas quantum physics defines anything more than 1 to 10 to the 51st power as impossible, cannot be done. So the entire claim rests on these statistics. Well, when I said that the other day, some of you got a little huffy with me. No, that's not it. They're claiming this. It's about constitutionality. It's about changing laws. It's about this, that, and the other. Of course, it's subsequently been pointed out that Texas changed their laws as well, which is one of the things they were asked to respond to. Why is it unconstitutional for Georgia to change their law, but not Texas? Is it just because Texas voted for Trump? The reply was a little short on the answers to that, but it doubled down again on the statistical analysis. In the response, Texas actually admits that Dr. Cicchetti, and I may be pronouncing his name incorrectly, and if I am, I apologize. No malice intended. They acknowledge the fact that we depend on this statistical analysis, but they also go this far. Dr. Cicchetti did take into account the possibility that votes were not randomly drawn in the later time period, but as stated in his original declaration, which is attached to the lawsuit, he is not aware of any data that would support such an assertion. We talked about this the other day. In other words, because he does not know anything about the 2 different sets of voters, it was okay in his mind to assume that they were identical for the purposes of assessing the statistical likelihood that they would vote differently. And we talked about this at great length the other day. He assumed that everything from 2016 is exactly the same as it is now. And it's not. You literally don't have to be this rock to know that. I mean, I hadn't done it then, but after a discussion with a couple of other people, I went and looked it up. Georgia near the top of the state-to-state migration list. This is a 2019 newspaper or news article in which we find out that 274,000 people. Georgia is the number 5 spot in terms of the number of new residents who moved in, almost all of which came from, quote, high tax states, meaning, statistically speaking, that they are more likely to be Democratic voters because they're coming from Democrat. This is the complaint people have. This is the complaint Arizona has. It's the complaint Texas has. Every place has this same complaint. All these Californians and New Yorkers coming here and because they want to take advantage of our lower costs, but they still vote for the same policies they had back home. Arizona's just bitter as all get out about this. It doesn't take a genius to figure this out. The entirety of the Texas lawsuit is based on Cicchetti, whatever his name is. It's based entirely Cicchetti's? I don't, that name's kicking my ass. Sorry. It's been a long day. The entirety of this lawsuit is based on the sole presumption that the statistical analysis is absolutely correct because he cannot see any way that it couldn't possibly be the same. And yet, literally, a 5-second Google search of newspapers, articles that were written long before this ever became an issue will show you that that statistical analysis is bad. And yet he still got paid for it, I'm sure. And I still stand by what I said. The chances of the Supreme Court doing anything about this are, well, they're about 1 in a quadrillion.